Ooh.
Oh, so okay. So I'm not sure how this works. So I'm just going to check on YouTube if we are live, because it seems a little bit unreal. So 1 second. Seems a little bit unreal. I can see myself on YouTube. This is this is great. Okay. Welcome very much, Jim, from Electrokit.
Thank you.
And today we're here in, well, it's the course 1DT305, Applied IoT at Linnaeus University. And well, those of you that are checking in here, you might interact with us directly on the easiest way is directly on the Discord channel. I'm monitoring that as we speak now, and perhaps Jim is as well. And what we want to cover today is, well, an update on material.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's why I've invited Jim. And maybe we could talk a little bit about, like, who are you and who are Electrokit and what are you doing in this course?
Well, I am Jim. I work at Electrokit. I work with sales and some technical support. And I'm here because Frederick reached out to me and wanted to have a solid partner to deliver stuff to you. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Electrokit as a company, we've been in this business for, I think we're up to 16 years now. So we're not very new. We specialize in what is now called maker things. So components, Arduino, Raspberry Pi, and of course now PyCom and single board computing and those kind of things. And we also have technical instrumentation like multimeters and oscilloscopes.
Yeah, and I can just mention that I'm not getting paid for inviting Electrokit. There is no kind of, from the university Electrokit agreement. So this is, as I see it, it's a win-win. That's for the course. It's good for us at the university and your students that we have a hardware provider that can give a little bit of that extra support and make it a little bit more easy. Yeah, that's more or less it. So, and I did contact several companies, but actually Electrokit was very keen on helping out and proved to be really, really good. And you have worked at Malmö Högskola as well, Malmö University, I mean, for quite some time. I understand. Yeah.
We have several, especially with Malmö Högskola or university. We have several of these kinds of cooperations where, together with the teacher or professor, we compile a kit, make sure everything works, and deliver the kit to the students quickly and easily. So, yeah, a few universities and some other schools have this way of working.
Yeah. So, but should we just? I mean, we have gotten some questions, and I made a mistake last evening, and I was going to start writing. So these are the questions I will ask Jim tomorrow, and I accidentally slipped on the return button after I've written what. so I got that comment directly from one of the TAs, Eric, but it's exactly my question, what? So, but anyway, it's things that have already been asked is like the shipping estimates and maybe some kind of experience from last year's course, because we might want to cover that, and then, well, if we can start on those points. So,
can I make a quick brag?
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we start. Yeah. So we are, as I mentioned, Arduino and Raspberry Pi, and we are actually we have one cool thing with each. So when it comes to Arduino, we are actually the second supplier in the world. We can't say first because someone in the United States was before us, but
Yeah.
we are actually the second Arduino distributor in the world, because we got in touch with the Arduino team through Malmö Högskola, then university now, and we jumped on that train really early, and we're very proud of that. And we're one of the few actually Arduino authorized retailers in Sweden. And the same with Raspberry Pi. We have worked for a long time with Raspberry Pi, and we are the only Raspberry Pi approved reseller in Sweden. So a lot of people sell Arduinos in Sweden, but we are the only one that's officially approved by Raspberry Pi themselves, which means that we get to travel to Great Britain when we're allowed to again. And I've actually been to the Raspberry Pi factory and seen them be manufactured. So we keep a close connection to our suppliers as well. We try to make sure that our customers and makers, and also the Swedish perspective, is visible, even in those large companies.
Yeah, that's great, and it would have been so cool to actually see the manufacturer of a Raspberry Pis and get in contact with them. So, but this course is, I guess that many will work with Raspberry Pis in this course, but it's not really Raspberry Pi is well, we'll talk more about definitions later and different areas. And a Raspberry Pi is certainly an IoT device, no questions about that. But it's not something you can run on battery. Well, you can, but it's not the device for.
You should.
No, and it's also much too powerful for many of the IoT devices that you are going to use. So what we are going to aim for in this course is to a much more low-powered device. So we don't need all that power that the Raspberry Pi has. I mean, you can run and you can use your Raspberry Pi as an office computer. Maybe not the fastest one, but it's certainly possible. So and that's not the kind of computer that you need if you're going to measure something, or make simple commands, or well, turn an actuator or on something or so.
You are absolutely right. The Raspberry Pi team is calling their Raspberry Pi boards Raspberry Pi computers.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was certainly more brag than anything else.
Yeah, but we have this one now, the Raspberry Pi Pico.
Oh, you have one?
Yeah, of course, I bought it from you. Yeah. So they are well, seems like they're emerging into that area as well. So, but that has no connectivity at all. So it's just a microcontroller
at the moment.
Yeah. So, but should we talk? I'm going to share my screen here now, because I guess that a lot of people are wondering. So, the information about the course, and I've already said that in the welcome video, and I've updated you on Discord and such, that a lot of like the main course material will soon be distributed. So, and if you're curious, please have a check at last year's course material. Everything is still open and out there. So and much will be the same, but it will be more fantastic this year. Obviously, we are always making progress. But what we will talk about today is the bill of material. So, and you'll find the bill of material on the course website. Some links, I think I've checked them all, but most of this material is the same as last year. And I think, should we try and press one of these and see if it works? Okay, so I'll take the Low-Pi 4 and sensors bundle. Okay, it says well, I ended up somewhere at Electrokit, and it's a price, but it's slut in lager.
Yeah, I will update that text. So basically what it means is that we don't have it in stock at the moment because it's on order.
Yeah.
So we don't have them on. We take stock levels seriously, and when we say it's in stock, it means it's physically in our warehouse.
Yeah.
So I would recommend everyone to order as soon as possible, because we will order the first 100 or so boards immediately, and we will ship them out as soon as possible. When it comes to the next 100, so we will order them in hundreds, which means that we can't order a new batch until we have some coverage.
Yeah.
We don't have to sell all the 100 to order, but we need to have some. I don't can't give you a number, a specific number, but it it can take some time before an order is placed until we have them in our warehouse.
So if you're in the first batch of 100, you're probably in the first line of getting one answer.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
but we will send them out in order as well.
Yeah, so. Great. But in terms of different bundles, where we have tried to make it like very flexible, and also it should be as easy as possible. That's the idea. That if you're this is an introductory course. That means that if you have no experience at all, if you're totally new into the area, you have never programmed before, if you're a high school teacher and you want to learn about these things, or if you're just interested in gardening and this is your chance to do something and measure something or do something in IoT, then but you don't have an idea on what to buy, I would say start with the Low-Pi 4 and sensors bundle. That's the point. Then you get some sensors. You won't get very much. I'm just saying that you'll get like the standards. You get a Low-Pi 4 with headers. I can show you all this stuff in. Probably I can do it right away. Let's see if I do it like this and this, and then we can see.
I'm not allowed back in the office at the moment, so.
No, okay, but I have all my stuff at home. So this is the Low-Pi 4. I see that it's the text is backwards now, but you have to believe me. So this is the actual microcontroller that we are recommending. And you might ask why we are recommending this one. It's not Jim from Electrokit that is recommending this one. If you had asked Jim, he would say Arduino for sure. So this is probably something that. But the thing is that I'm saying that this has been a very well working device for this particular kind of course, and especially I would say that it's because you have all the possibilities with one microcontroller. It's an ESP32 chip on board. You can find these very cheap from other sources. So it has built-in Wi-Fi and such. But you also have the LoRa and Sigfox band on the device. That means you have 4 different wireless bands on this one. And you need also an expansion board. And this board, this is the actual microcontroller. So this is the actual computer. It contains everything, but you don't have a micro USB connector here. You can program this if you have to have an FTD device or such. But to make it easier, you have to buy an expansion board, and that's just a way for you to plug your PICOM device into that. Then you have the USB. A micro USB connector. We actually have a battery connector as well. It has a built-in charger, and you have all the pins exposed here on the side. So it's very easy to connect any kind of sensor. So those things. Let's see if we have that's Low-Pi 4, that's the expansion board, and then we have the antenna. If you're going to look at the antenna, I might mention that if you buy the Electrokit package, you will get this antenna. And this is a LoRa 1 antenna. So it's for 868 megahertz. You don't need to buy a Wi-Fi antenna. There is built-in Wi-Fi, but usually it's good enough for your home environment. It's seldom a problem if you don't need extreme lengths of Wi-Fi connectivity. So the LoRa antenna is something that you need to buy if you're going to try on LoRa, and which we really recommend during this course because it's an interesting protocol. And then the micro USB cable. Should we mention anything about that?
You get one.
Yeah.
It's a common pitfall, actually. More common than you'd expect, that the USB cable you get with your phones or your headphones or whatever charging you're using aren't using the data cables.
Yeah.
So I think all of us have. I have tens of micro USB cables at home, but some of them just aren't data cables. So this is a tried and tested micro USB cable.
Yeah, and that's totally true. So it's good that you pointed out as well, because a lot of problems that we encounter is that, oh, well, I already have a USB cable, and often it doesn't work. So the first thing I ask when someone says that, oh, it doesn't work for me, well, try to change the USB cable. So in this case, it's a really good thing that you get one in the package, a small USB cable. They're not very expensive. I guess they are very cheap. You can buy them 10, 15, 20 crowns, but they need to work.
They're not expensive.
Yeah.
They're not expensive at all.
And then we have the jumper wire and breadboards, and there might be people that don't know what a breadboard is. This is a breadboard, and you have one as well, Jim.
At least, yeah, here we have. This one is actually closer to the one you get. You see, I think so. I'm going to have to check this after the to make sure it's the right one. But
yeah.
So while Frederick has one with one row each on each side, we have 2 rows on each side. So double the fun.
Yeah, exactly. And then jumper wires.
Yeah.
Well, we're showing stuff for each other here, so I never. The small, sometimes called DuPont wires, I have seen. I'm not sure about the right way to mention them, but they're actually small wires which you connect. So these things are really cheap. So it's really like it's really not like anything that is expensive to buy. But if you were to like try to buy one of each from different distributors, it might become expensive. So that's actually why it makes it a bit of advantage buying this. And then some resistors, LEDs, LDR actually.
Light dependence resistor.
Yeah, great. And tilt switch, and then we have temperature sensor, Hall effect sensor, and the magnet. So the Hall effect sensor is something that measures the magnetic field. There is a magnet. That means that you can make some kind of switch. And you have a temperature sensor, and that's an analog, isn't it? So
yes, I believe so.
So you can measure something, light, luminosity, and obviously the temperature. And you have a couple of LEDs and resistors, so you can at least make things light up or so. It's not that you get blinded of these. It's small, very small lights. And then you actually there is an LED on the board as well. In all colors, so an RGB LED. So you can do a lot of stuff just by using that as well. So is there anything? So this is the bundle, and then you have the sensors on the bundle. So if you happen to have, and then you can see that the price is relatively less expensive than the other one, so we can see what's costing money. But then if you only want the sensors, and if you have a couple of sensors, then buy the basic bundle, and then you get the low Pi expansion board, antenna, USB cable. And I might say that this is not a bad choice. If you buy the basic bundle, if you already have sensors, if you already have like Arduinos at home, you might have breadboards, a starter package, and you're working. Well, obviously, you don't have to buy like the sensors bundle. You might have all this stuff before. So that's why we created the like the basic bundle as well. But if you don't have those things, it's really worth, because without the breadboard, things get. It works without a breadboard, but it's it's so frustrating when you're going to try to connect things. And so see what we have. Do you have? We have some questions here, Jim. So this is perfect. Are you following the Discord as well? So let's see. We have.
Do you have sensors that can measure weight? Yes. Where am I? I am in what to buy. Okay, let's start from the top. Elizabeth asks if we can make a night lamp. Yes, we can. So I also battery input. I think you linked a battery.
Yeah, let's take probably one thing in at a time, but let's see. There is a link in, and also I can show the battery I have. I think this is exactly the same battery holder, but sometimes I might be mistaken, but I think this is the battery holder that comes from Electrokit. I have too many things, and Electrokit is not the only one that stuff. But this is a neat thing to have. You can put just two, either it's 3 or 2 AAA batteries. It could be rechargeable, or it could be just standard batteries. If they are not rechargeable, you might want to just not try to charge them, because they are automatically charged. But we'll take that later on. But and then there is a JST, I think it's PH connector.
Yep.
And this small connector here fits the expansion board here. And well, if you want to bring your project from the computer, then that's a pretty nice thing to have, obviously. So, and let's see, I have some. How does the Arduino stand between the Raspberry Pi and?
I'm still on Elizabeth, so.
Oh, sorry.
She also asked about a night lamp that should be automatically switched on when someone enters the room. We have a few PIR sensors.
Yeah.
I will drop a link to one of them, but we have a few. So I'll just do this. PIR sensor. So what you do is you have a PIR sensor. They will sense if someone is in the room, and they will send a digital signal.
Yeah.
If someone is in the room.
And they usually can see these kind of sensors. If you go into a public bathroom in the school and or like like public library or office space, sometimes there's automatic lighting, and it usually you can see a little small, like.
I had one as well.
Yeah. So and it's passive infrared sensors. So
yeah.
They work obviously in the dark as well. Otherwise, they wouldn't be very good at turning on the light. So, and that's about that. So,
I am also still here. That's it. So, do we have any sensors that can measure weight? Yes. If you don't mind, if I go through this one first.
Yeah.
We do have a few weight sensors. They are called. Let's see.
While you speak, I can while you think and write, I can say, how does the Arduino stand between the Raspberry Pi and Low Pi 4? I got a question before from Hugo, and I think that that's a very it's a good question, but it takes a longer answer. But let's say that there are different things you can do with different devices, and you can't really say that something is better than the other. It all depends on what you're going to do. So if you want to run a small web server and do maybe some kind of hobby project, then Raspberry Pi is probably the best way to go. And I totally recommend everyone to buy a Raspberry Pi. That should be the standard equipment of everyone's home. But if you want to build something that is running on battery, if you want to use LoRaWAN network, well, Raspberry is really not the way to go. But Arduino might be. Yeah, absolutely. You can run LoRa on Arduino. There are Arduinos with LoRaWAN. But if you at the same time want to use MicroPython, which is a really beginner-friendly language, and actually, even though it's beginner-friendly, it's also very advanced, and there's a lot of things happening. Well, then the Low Pi 4 might be the way to go. So it's really a compromise of many different things. But many of you might think that, do I really have to buy the Low Pi 4? Well, no, you don't. The course requirements are that you need to have your device connected to the internet. But we are hundreds of people in the course, and it makes things a lot easier from the course perspective if we are as many as possible on the same platform. And I can honestly say that I have tried it all, and it's chosen carefully from my perspective with the hardware that we are using now. So, but you don't have to. I'm not forcing anyone. So just as you know. Yeah. Should we?
That's a good answer. So as you say, they are different things with different use cases.
Yeah.
Even though they have enough overlap to be able to there are some overlaps, of course. And so sometimes it's easier if you have one thing that you do know, then you can just continue with that. But yeah, that's a good description.
And we had Adriana here. Well, could it be sent to Spain? I guess that Spain and all other European countries are probably on the.
We used to send worldwide, but during the pandemic things, we chose to only send to the European Union at the moment.
Yeah.
And Switzerland and Norway and those semi-European Union places, because shipping isn't as easy as it used to be. But we send to Europe.
Yeah, and all these kind of questions which are like, okay, because I got a question here is that I have a sensor at the cottage. If someone moves close enough, you cannot on what are the recommended buys for this case. I would say that if you're the recommendation is probably buy the standard pack and then add on some sensors, because it's the sensors, they are really cheap. And I think there is a sensor kit with 20-ish sensors, something like that. You can find those kits on Amazon. They are often called Arduino sensor kits. But forget about Arduino. It's not limited to Arduino. It's not limited to Raspberry Pi. It's not limited to Adafruit. It's sensors, and they work for all microcontrollers. The only thing that you need to think about is if it's 3.3 or 5 volts. But often that's not a problem either, because even though it sometimes says 5 volts, it still works with 3.3 volts. So, but all these kind of questions, try to be very specific and use the TAs and use me or Jim in the Discord channel and ask. And maybe you can get the recommendation. But I would say that even though you have a very specific project in mind, I would say that it's good if you buy some additional sensors so you can get started playing. And maybe do the same experiment, maybe set up like a temperature reading as many others will do, and then you continue on with your other project which you have in mind. So you take it stepwise. So you don't start with, well, the whole project idea at right away, because there are some sensors that you might have a hard time getting to work. That's the thing.
We also our 25 package. We know they work with 3.3 volts. So
yeah. How does the Hall effect sensor and magnet look like? There's a question here.
I have one. I'm not sure if this is a Hall sensor but it looks like this.
It's very tiny.
Very tiny, and I assume everyone knows what a magnet looks like. But the magnet is round, just a coin little thing. So this is the Hall effect sensor. Three little legs spread them out.
Yeah. Great. And then can we use a soil moisture sensor with a low pi 4? Yes.
Yep.
It's a very quick answer. What about LoRaWAN antennas for other regions? This is a super good question from Patrick. Yes, that's a very specific question. I can answer it. And there are different regions in the world. Depending on where you live, the LoRaWAN is limited to different frequencies. In the European Union, we have 868 megahertz, and in the North America region, there is 900-ish megahertz. 915, if I remember correctly. And so the antenna for the 915 megahertz is a little bit shorter. So you need to think about that. But it's still the same low pi. It's not a different low pi. That's the software thing. So you can actually, you don't have to buy a different device if you're living in the US or somewhere else. Australia, my best guess here, Patrick, is that is the same as the North American region, but I have to check that up. So
I don't know.
Yeah. Do you have a tilt and pressure sensors? I think there was a tilt sensor in the basic package, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Do you mean pressure sensor as in pressure or air pressure?
That's good. Let's say that yes on both, because air pressure, yes, you have, but the water pressure or like fluid pressure, if you want to connect something like that, then it may be that you have to search for some more specialized hardware, or what do you say? Do you have something off the shelf in that area?
Yeah, water pressure, not sure to be honest, but air pressure and force is I think neither is included in the 25 kit.
Yeah,
so
but
but they are available and they are cheap.
Yeah, and I can say that I found one. I'm going to show my desk camera and make it a little bit bigger. And here you can see I see that the quality is not very great, but this is a BMP 180 sensor.
Yep.
And I'm guessing now, could it be 50 crowns? Okay, we don't have to guess the price. Maybe it's more expensive. This is a very common sensor. I think I showed these sensors, both of them, on the welcome video. But the blue one is the cheap DHT11. They are very cheap. That's a temperature and humidity. Not very accurate. It's good enough. This one is better. It's the DHT22. It's a newer version of the same. They work the same, but this is more reliable and a little bit more expensive. Also, I would say less than 100 crowns, even maybe half that. I never remember the exact prices, but and there are very many very interesting sensors. I can say that many last year bought at least I had an example of it. This is a pretty neat device, CCS811. and it's a carbon dioxide sensor and volatile organic compounds, the VOC. So this is a sensor that you can find in many. If you go to like the electronics shop and buy something that measures the indoor quality, you probably find this kind of sensor in that device. It tells you a little bit about the CO2 and such. So, and this is a pretty fun sensor to work with. And guessing here, about 100. But I'm not selling these things, so I'm just saying that what's out there. But the main point here is that it's not expensive. So you come a long way with very little money. Then the expensive thing is if you're going to make a product later on and you have a business idea, then you have a lot of work to do. But it's really fun because you can do a lot of things and it's not very expensive. So, and there's a beginner question here, which is totally, that's perfect. I love beginner questions. LoRaWAN, very short. We will have a lot of lectures on LoRaWAN later on, but it's an IoT wireless protocol made for IoT, Internet of Things. Let's say that it's like a mobile phone for IoT. Instead of calling and sending SMS, it's a protocol that are used for sending very tiny amounts of data from IoT devices. And it can go far away. And it's, well, also very, very battery friendly, and you can make them small and it's cheap. So there are advantages. How to use it outside. Well, outside, if you put something outside, you always need to think about how you, your casing and such, obviously, but it's not a problem generally. Maybe some of them might not be very happy about rain, but it's always to look at the specification. Do I need any software or anything on my computer to program things? Good question. Yes, you need, but the software is free. You can run this on a Windows machine, a Mac, or a Linux machine. Actually, if your only computer is a Raspberry Pi, you're fine as well. So, and the software doesn't cost anything. So you get everything. That's the software is free. And there are more beginner questions. Let's. I'm going to take this later on. Let's see if we can cover all the hardware questions before. Have we missed anything, Jim?
I think you. Well, yeah. So we were on weight. Yes, we have load sensors, and you need. So if you search for load sensors on our webpage, or lastcell in Swedish, you will find weight sensors.
Yeah,
that was Andreas' question. And we also have one from Hugo that uses like reading of barcodes. That's a super interesting question. I've actually looked at this and I have no answer at the moment. I don't know how you easily read barcodes. I am sorry about that. I want to learn, so I will have a look at that and see if I can find something else.
Yeah, that's and you might mention that, and please ask if you find, okay, is this a good sensor for one? That's really one of the main purposes. There are two purposes why you are so early in this course, and we have opened a Discord server already and having this live stream. One is that, well, you need to buy the hardware before the course starts. It's really not doable to run this kind of course if everyone the first week in the course starts to discuss these things, and then we're 3 weeks in the course and people are still waiting on their hardware. So that's one thing. But the other thing is also that you need to, well, have someone to discuss with, because it's also not sustainable to buy a lot of sensors which you are not going to use. So the basic, well, you need. It's well, as we discussed. But if you have specific ideas, please ask. There is in the Discord channel over almost 200 students from last year. So we have a lot of experience. I have not tried everything myself, but I can guarantee that someone has tried it before, and we have all documented from last year. So please just put out a question. And I go say, I need for hydroponic system sensors. Which extra sensors should I get? I don't know it by heart, but actually I do know that we had one project last year which was about hydroponics. And Mo, which asked that question in Discord, I will forward that report to you, and you will get all the documentation from last year. So,
Thanks.
yeah. So I don't actually exactly know, but yeah.
I'd also just like to say, if you want to ask me, please tag me or use the Electrokit chat. I may not read all of the information on the Discord all the time, and if I haven't replied in a short time, tag me again. It's probably well deserved.
Yeah.
I try to keep up, but
yeah, and this is a really good thing. I mean, just to have you as a supplier being a part, it gives really an added value. So we might mention, I mean, experience from last year. If we just continue on like my original agenda. So last year we had more than one, maybe we had 10, or actually I don't know, but we had many students that were ordering their kits directly from PyCom in the UK, and that was not a problem, I would say. And I know that already some of you have. I think price-wise, it's about the same. So it doesn't matter very much, and you can find these devices on other places as well. And as I said before, you're free to do it. So it's up to you. But the thing is that, and there some of you, I mean, we are 200 students ish, maybe 300 that will order devices, and there will be a couple of them that might not work. That's always the thing, and it's pretty nice if you have one supplier that takes care of like a bit of the support in the course. So that's actually an added benefit as well, because hardware problems, well, I might not be able to help you if there is anything wrong with the hardware, and it's not fun to be there in the second week of the course and it doesn't work, and you're like in the mid of your project, and well, you don't want to wait 3 weeks before you get your hardware device replaced. So those things are, well, it's easier this way. So I'm just talking about one of the advantages. So
I will say as well, and this is not criticism of PyCom in any way. At the moment, there are issues in shipping from the UK. The Brexit thingy has put sand in all the gears everywhere, and we are experiencing. We do a lot of business with the UK, and both friends and myself order personally some items, other items from the UK, and there are issues. I have seen that PyCom users they seem to have it figured out, but it's a good thing to know that Brexit is a thing at the moment.
Yeah.
And I would just say that I don't want to say that PyCom doesn't deliver or anything else. I just want to mention it. I hope that's okay.
I got yet another question, and what's the difference between Raspberry Pi and between it and Arduino? Very short. I think I mentioned it a little bit before, but the Raspberry Pi is more like a computer, and the Arduino and LowPi and Adafruit and the ESP32, they are more like very, very tiny computers, which you can't really do much, but just one particular thing. So Raspberry Pi, you can run all kind of programs on that, but on these kind of devices, there are microcontrollers which are very like useful for one thing at a time. So if you want to do a particular thing, so yeah, yes. Should we talk about like maybe we can just showcase. I know that there might be, I mean, I think that we're clear enough that, well, this is the way to go. We got yet another question about when the Low-Pi 4 and Sensors bundle will be back in stock. Maybe you joined in and a little bit late, Matilda, but yeah, they are going to be in hundreds, I think, batches of hundreds, and ordered from that. So as soon as possible, I guess. And the out of stock was really just
out of stock means we'll get them soon.
yeah.
So we are hoping to be able to send the first batch in 1 or 2 weeks. I am having my purchasers looking at this right now. Again, Brexit is a thing. So 1 to 2 weeks is my estimate. And so place your orders. We will send the orders in the order that we got.
Yeah, and I got a question here about sending SMS. That's absolutely possible, and you have to, in that case, not buy a Low-Pi 4. Then you have to buy a Pi. It's mentioned in the bill of material, but there is a let's see if I have one here on my desk. I do. Show on stream, and I'm making this a little bit bigger. It looks the same, but I have a spot for a SIM card underneath, so I can. So it has all the bands that the Low-Pi 4 has, but you also have the added benefit of a SIM card underneath, so you can run this on LTE category M1 and narrowband IoT. There has been discussions on exactly that. You can buy these IoT SIM cards, and they're really cheap. You can find them for 10 euros and 10 years of connectivity. So €1 per year. So it's that kind of cheap. But the Pi device is a little bit more expensive, and you need, in that case, also to buy the antenna for the LT, which looks like this. So the LT antenna. If you really want to have the possibility to try it all, buy the Pi. It's really one. Then you have all the different possibilities, and then you can send an SMS. Absolutely, that depends on your provider of cellular provider, of course. But spontaneously, I would say that SMS might not be the choice that you want to use. You would probably rather want to think of sending data as a data package, and then taking care about that data in the other end, because sending SMS is really like an old school way of doing it, perhaps. Okay. Anything more? Should we showcase something more, or any new devices that might be interesting? Sensor for wearables. Yeah.
I actually prepared some tips for what to things that are nice to have.
Yeah.
So we did talk about the 25 set. Let's see if I can share this thing. So we did talk about this 25 sensor kit. I'll go to English. This was extremely popular last year. This was so popular that we actually we had to emergency order extra bits, and we had to make a lot of special accommodations. But it's a nice kit with a nice number of different sensors doing different things. And I would also recommend, I will stop this, and I will say one thing that a lot of people forget is a multimeter. We have different kinds of multimeters for different purposes. This is the 70C. It's a medium medium professional one. You don't need to have this one. We have one that's called 81D, for example. That's just 299 crowns. And what's nice about those is that they are out of range. So what you use the multimeter for are different things. You check the level, or the voltage level, and the current levels, and capacitance, resistor levels, and so forth. So, for example, you can measure if you have an issue, you can measure so you have the correct voltage and things like that. And the main difference between a cheaper one and an expensive one is accuracy. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but you're totally right, and it's one thing that we can't. We need to keep, like, the recommendations for the course have tried to keep it to a minimum. But you're totally right. I would actually also want to recommend everyone to buy a multimeter if you haven't got one. But don't also, maybe we could mention that you don't have to buy everything at once. I mean, if you only start with the basics, and then you might get an idea. Oh, I want to do this. I mean, the course is still 10 weeks long, and we'll start in the 14th of June. You still have plenty of time. Electrokit is, and all other, I mean, Shell and Company, and you can find all these things on a lot of different places. It's open during the summer, and most of it are very much available all the time. It's that's, at least that's in my impression. So not to say that of course you should buy it from Electrokit, but you don't think that, oh, do I need to buy all these things? So just remember that the only thing that that you really need to buy is, well, you need to buy some kind of IoT device. The recommended one is the Low-Pi 4, which really makes it easy to get started. And even though you have an advanced project in mind, and if you are a programmer, because we have all the, it's still the best tool for the job when you're doing development. We are going to have examples from that during this summer. So we're going to have guest lectures. So for one, I can, it's not confirmed 100% yet, but it's a company in Germany that are working with developing IoT solutions for, and well, they are using PyCom. They're using other devices as well, but PyCom is really in their drawboard. And we have another company from Sweden, an IT company, that are doing IoT consultancy. And the same there. They also have the PyCom device, even though they are very proficient in programming and C++ and all that. They're still using the PyCom device for like developing solutions, because you cut the time, and it's, well, so it's really a good device for this kind of development setups. We are going to talk a little bit about TinyML during the course. I think I've mentioned that a little bit, and it. So these are just to mention. I'm like a little bit reluctant to talk too much about this, because then you might think that, oh, does Fredrik wants me to buy this as well? No, I don't. But I'm just saying that there are interesting devices that are coming out all the time. This is an interesting device which I quite recently bought. It's an Arduino Nano 33 BLE Sense. So it's a little device. It does only have Bluetooth Low Energy, so it makes it a little bit harder to connect to the internet. But you can run a machine learning model directly on the device, and it also has a lot of sensors built in. So couple this one with maybe a gateway or of some kind, and you can do fantastic things. So there's a lot of different things. You have also the Adafruit M0, which is also a good device. A bit similar to the PyCom Low-Pi 4, but like in size and in price. And Adafruit is a US company. And you can program this with CircuitPython, which is a fork of MicroPython, but it has advantages and also disadvantages. And why I'm not using this in this course? Well, it's only, this particular device only has LoRa. So you miss out on Wi-Fi, which is a big shame, and you miss out on Bluetooth and all perhaps Sigfox. So, but if you, so there is really not a device that is best on everything. That might be something. This is a pretty nice thing as well if you want to have a display of some kind. There are these e-paper displays which are pretty neat. Should be show anything more? I'm not sure. I guess I'm making it harder and harder. You're okay. There you have the Arduino Uno.
This is the Arduino Uno. So this is not a new Arduino Uno. I actually brought this because it has a fun story. This is my first Arduino. This is what got me started in electronics. So all my electronic interest is actually stems from this particular board. It's super dusty. It has survived more than you'd expect. It's sticky on the back because I taped it to things, and I have used this for many years. So I just wanted to show it because it's cool. and that the low pi board will be your Arduino Uno. It's what gets you to get started and enjoy the electronic world.
Yeah, it's a fantastic world, and I mean, there is really only your imagination that limits what you can do. So we have some like it's not a silly questions. There are no silly questions. So that's like a method for delivery. Do you ship it in? How do you ship? Or
the cheapest option, if we can get it in a letter and it's not too expensive, we will send it as a letter and it will arrive in your mailbox. If you buy a low pi, you will not get it as a letter. It's too expensive. You will get it as a varubrev if you're in Sweden. So they will try to deliver it in your mailbox. If you live in an apartment, it will probably be too big, and you will have to get it at some kind of place. I hope that's clear enough. If you are a company ordering, it's a little bit different. You will probably get it by parcel, by Schenker parcel.
Yes. Well, in that case, I think there are no like concrete questions. I thank you very much for being so active in both the chat on YouTube and on Discord. And well, we both managed to at least follow along. And there is like, okay, there's one more question. Do you sell compatible antennas for the low pi? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I think we can find. I don't have it on me. I will make sure we can find a good antenna for you.
Yeah,
if you ask them.
And then we have it from Patrick here. Sorry, I forgot that question. Optional items, if you can put that a list, but maybe you could put out like some recommendations on the Discord channel and yeah.
I'll compile a list.
So okay, outside bundles. So okay, if you sell the antenna as an outside, I guess the antenna is a standard antenna. It's nothing. It's not that anything that Picom is no. Manufacturing. You can find that very same antenna on a lot of different places. So I guess that Jim, you could probably check if you could like see if you can find that exact antenna, or maybe you already have. Or
I think we already have.
Okay.
I don't know which one it is at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm not super well versed in antennas, to be honest, but I'll check it and link it.
Yeah, great. Yeah, in that case, I hope that well, at least all of you that have followed along and got a more clear picture on what to buy, and well, we'll see each other well during the way, and you'll hear more from me and also from Jim. We might have a surprise in the summer, but we'll come back to that yet later on. We'll see. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't mention more than that. So.
Well, we do love surprises, don't we?
Yeah. That's great. In that case, I'll end the stream and thank everyone that has been watching this Friday afternoon. A very, very good weekend, and see you soon.
Good weekend, and bye.